Are you thinking about making a move to Port St Lucie, Florida, and are wondering some different things that you should think about, the pros and the cons? Then stick around, you're not going to want to miss this video. My name is Megan Schoner. I'm a local real estate agent here on the Treasure Coast. I've lived here for over 20 years and I love showing you guys every week different reasons why I love the Treasure Coast, and I hope that I can help you find your treasure of a home here on the Treasure Coast. Whether or not you are looking to purchase in the next 9 days, 90 days, or in the next 2 years, please reach out to me. I would love to help you. I'm happy to set up a Zoom call, set up a meeting on Calendarly, give me a phone call. I'd love to show you more about this area and help you find your treasure here on the Treasure Coast. So in today's video, we're going to go over 5 of the pros and cons about living here in Port St Lucie, Florida, so you can make your best decision if this area might be right for you. One of the pros is definitely the weather, right? You can't beat it. Here in South Florida, it is fantastic and sunny and wonderful, and so that is, obviously one of the probably the main draws that we have to this region. The nice thing about this area too is that we are further south. Had a lot of clients that maybe had purchased previously up like the Jacksonville, St. Augustine area, realized, it was a little bit cooler than they were expecting in the winter. So our winters tend to be, in the 70s and 80s, most of the time. We usually have about 1 week that's kind of cold, and that usually is the week between Christmas and New Year's when all the tourists are down visiting friends and families. But for the most part, our weather is, 70s, 80s, beautiful blue skies, just a fantastic thing. So if you're looking for a change in weather, most of you guys know I was originally born and raised in Chicago, lived there all my life, and loved it, but I really didn't know anything different. Moved down here about 20 years ago and realized, oh my gosh, it's a whole new world down here. It is fantastic. It's just wonderful to be outside all the time. So that is definitely a pro for living in this area. The second pro is the beaches. Our beaches, obviously, the state of Florida has tons of beaches all over. Being on the east coast of Florida, we are on the Atlantic side, and if you like to surf, we actually do have some surfing here. It's not going to be the same as probably out in California. A lot of people that did surf, and they do the kiteboarding as well. And there's also surf lessons for the kids in the summer, surf camps and stuff like that. So our beaches here are wonderful. The other thing that's a little bit different is our neighbors, further south of us, down in Boca, Delray, Fort Lauderdale, their beaches are a lot more crowded than ours are up here. Ours up here, it's just super easy to get to the beaches. You always have parking. Sometimes Saturday afternoons it may be a little, little crowded, but for the most part, it's easy to find parking. It's free parking. Our beaches are bigger and wider than they are further down south, and the water temperature is fantastic. So the Gulf Stream comes closer to the coast and the South Florida region. So in the summer, the water can be in the 80s. It's like bath water, and it's really flat. So my favorite 2 months up here are April and October, just in terms of the weather and the water and everything. So other thing too with our beaches is on our area on the East Coast, we have a lot of sea turtles that come, and they will lay their eggs here. So it's really fun. You can do sea turtle watch, the walks at night as the big loggerhead turtles lay their eggs on the beach, and again in the summertime when the hatchlings are released. So kind of a fun thing, and our beaches are just fantastic here, so no surprise. The third pro about the area is our location. So in the Port St Lucie Treasure Coast area, we are situated exactly 2 hours in between Orlando and Miami. So a lot of people that are moving to our area like the fact that they can easily get anywhere in the state within a couple hours. We are just the location, if you want to go up to, Disney for the day, get season passes. That's what we've always done with our kids. See, Disney, Universal, all that kind of stuff. It's super easy to get, to get up there, go to the parks for the day and come back home. People love being able to have the access to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Orlando, and even Tampa's only, a couple hours, from us as well too. Easy to get over to the west coast of Florida. So just our location is really different than some of the other areas in Florida. You're not as locked into an area. It's easy to get around if you have friends and family throughout this state. The fourth thing that is definitely a pro of our area is the growth. Port St Lucie was actually ranked as the #2 fastest growing city in the United States in terms of our size. So that is definitely a pro, because if you are looking to purchase in this area, you're going to have an increase in terms of your property values as we get more and more people moving in here. The reason for our growth, again, is the location. And then also, we had a lot of people from further south, so Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, that are moving here because it's quieter, it's more affordable, and they're bringing their property values up here. So we're getting all the people from down south that are moving here, as well as our traditional snowbirds from the East Coast and Canada. And then a lot of people after the pandemic are now able to work remotely. So we're getting people from, the West coast of the U.S. So Washington, California, we're getting people from Texas, Kentucky, kind of all over different areas that we didn't typically see before. So we have a lot of people moving to this area. The other thing with our growth is that further south, they're landlocked. They've already built out as far as they can go, and they've hit the Everglades. In our area, we still have a lot of land that's still available to develop. So we have a lot of new construction coming to the area, which is appealing to a lot of people. And we also have the close proximity to the beach. We're about half an hour away. So just a lot of growth and excitement in this area. So if you are looking to kind of get on the cutting edge, Port St Lucie is definitely growing leaps and bounds. And the last thing in terms of the pro, I would say, is the diversity. What's really nice about this area is you have tons of people that are moving from all over the U.S., like I mentioned. Not as many people that are actually born and raised here. So it's really nice to see the people coming from different countries, the different islands, and you really get a really nice mix of culture, music, food, entertainment. So it's a really nice area for that. Previously, I said for the pro, it was definitely the weather. That could also be a con. So the reason that I'm saying that is the summer heat is hot. As I said earlier, I was born and raised in Chicago. I was used to the Midwest where it was cooler in the morning, heated up in the afternoon, cooled down in the evening. And I was not used to the fact that when you're down here, especially in the summer months, the humidity is really high. We're talking about like 90% plus. And the temperatures at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, if you try to go out for an early morning walk, it's still hot. It's 90 degrees in the summertime at 6 in the morning, same thing, at 9 o'clock at night. So it doesn't cool down as much, and that was a kind of a surprise for me. It's just having that humidity. Same thing, your hair goes a little crazy, you kind of get used to it, but you definitely have more of that humidity, and it's hot. It just feels hot and wet kind of all, for longer during the day. The other thing too is with the weather is the month of June is actually our rainiest month. It typically rains almost every afternoon. Usually between like 1 and 3, and it'll rain sometimes just like 15, 20 minutes. I've never seen storms like this. The skies open up, you've got torrential downpour, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out. And you can literally be driving 5, 10 minutes down the road and it's sunny and clear. So I wasn't expecting to have an entire month of just raining every afternoon. So you get used to it. You just plan to do, more of the beach or outdoor activities more in the morning. You tend to stay inside earlier in the afternoon. You tend to stay inside where it's a little bit cooler. Maybe you do the mall, go to the movies, just like you would do up north. During the winter time, you're going to stay inside. In the summertime here, we do tend to stay inside as well. The other con, talking about, with the weather, is the hurricanes. We do have to be prepared for that. The good thing down in our area is all of the homes are built for the hurricanes. So you're going to look for something called CBS, which is a concrete block structure that helps withstand the wind. Also, all of our roof structures we have different codes down here than they do even further north in Florida to withstand the wind, and a lot of the homes now come with hurricane impact windows, or almost all the homes will come with some kind of hurricane shutter. So it's just something that you have to prepare for. You stock up. Most homes will have a portable generator, and luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had one in our area in a while, but it is something to watch for. So if that's something that makes you nervous, that definitely could be a con to the yin and the yang of beautiful weather, but sometimes we have the storms that we have to look out for in the summertime. The second thing that could be a con in our area is, even though our wildlife is beautiful, you have to watch out for something called fire ants. I was not aware of this until we moved down here and I stepped in a pile of them. It will look like just a kind of a small pile of sand in the grass. Never thought to be afraid of ants until I got down here, and they sting. So they're not poisonous, it's nothing like that, but they leave these little marks on wherever they bite you, and it looks kind of like a white little pussy like pimple, and it'll go away. You can put some Benadryl on it. But that was one thing that kind of surprised me down here was fire ants. And then also you have to kind of watch out for alligators. If you're not from the area, everybody gets a little bit more nervous about it than if you are from here. We just kind of know that any body of water could have an alligator in it. So if you have a small dog, small children, obviously you keep them close. Dogs you always keep on a leash. A lot of people would have like a lake house in the summer to go to and water ski and stuff like that. Here, any body of water like that, you're not necessarily, the ocean's fine, the intercoastal is fine, but any of these other smaller bodies of water, you're not going to want to jump in because you don't know what you're going to find. So definitely a con, in this area. We don't have, a lot of people ask about like mosquitoes and stuff. So in this area, we don't really have, I know that Port St Lucie in general sprays all the neighborhoods, so they're really, in terms of mosquitoes, we really don't have them too much. Sometimes you'll have like what we call no-see-ums around the beach, sometimes in the sand, early in the morning, kind of just, or an itch. But those are really the only, main things that we have down here. So the other con is the taxes and insurance. So this is probably not a surprise for, for people. This is, something that comes up quite often. If you're coming from, further up north, our taxes obviously are going to be a lot less than they are, of the Northeast or the Midwest. But just wanted to go over this real quick. Port St Lucie actually has one of the highest millage rates in the state. Our taxes here are a little bit higher, and people are a little bit surprised by it. If you're trying to budget to figure out how much you can afford or what your monthly payment's going to look like, I always suggest to contact the property appraiser's office, but basically figure 2% of the assessed value. So you can probably take the sales price, maybe take it down, maybe like 10-15% or so, and then do 2% of that number. It's also going to depend when you're down here if you are going to live here full time. If so, then you can apply for the homestead exemption, which will help lower your property taxes. The other thing too is that our property taxes are paid in arrears, which means that we're paying from last year. So I was just talking with a buyer the other day that was coming in from out of state. I'm looking at these certain homes and I'm seeing that their taxes are ranging from like $1,500 all the way up to like $12,000. What do I look at? What do I factor in? The first year, your taxes are going to be based off of the sale of the home and what the previous owner's taxes were. The second year, as of January 1st, will be based on your assessed value of the home. Just something to kind of take into effect when you're looking for homes, when you're looking at that monthly payment. The same thing happens too if you're looking at new construction, because a lot of times the taxes are based off of, we say, like the dirt. So nothing's been built there, so your taxes are going to be really low. Just don't be surprised if they jump up dramatically. So just something to consider. And this is not unique to Florida, but definitely on the Treasure Coast it is a little bit surprising because our millage rate is so much higher than other areas. Another con is traffic congestion is definitely picking up, specifically in areas like Tradition and St. Lucie West and along US 1 that's further east. And that is just because of all the growth that we've had in the area. The other thing with the growth too is city and all the building around all the homes hasn't quite caught up with everything. So in terms of trying to get into some like the doctor's appointments, I've heard a lot of clients that are, having to wait a long time to try to get into some doctors because they're just not accepting new patients. They're inundated with all the people that are moving here. Same thing with, we're still working on trying to get some of the bigger restaurants and retailers up in this area. They haven't quite caught up with it. Kind of just the growing pains at this point is a little bit of the con. So if you're looking for fully established community and all the, fancy restaurants and great shopping, all that stuff, we're not quite there yet. We're on our way up. Probably in the next couple of years we'll have everything. We do have a mall, we do have grocery stores, we've got movie theaters, regular theaters. So we have a lot going for us, but more of a small town before and everything. Now with all the growth being the second fastest growing city in the US, we're kind of experiencing some growing pains. So as long as you're fine with that, and then some road construction and some traffic construction traffic congestion as roads are being built out to accommodate for all the new people that are moving here. And then the last thing that's a con, I would say, Port St Lucie doesn't really have a downtown. So if you were looking for a cute little quaint downtown, I would suggest looking at Stewart or Fort Pierce or Jensen Beach. But in Port St Lucie, there's not a real downtown section. There's areas like Tradition that everyone that lives here pretty much would consider the downtown area, but there is not a downtown area per se. The other thing too is if you have kids that are in school, our school system works a little bit different than other areas. You are based where you buy the home is you're in a zone. So there's probably 5 to 6 or even more public schools to choose from in that zone. And there's also a lot of the charter and magnet type schools too to choose from as well that are free. So there's not that neighborhood feeling per se if you're not in a gated community. So just something to think about. It's a little bit different, and I hope this video is helpful for you. If you are looking to make a move to the Treasure Coast, please reach out to me, give me a call, set up an appointment on Calendarly, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm always happy to help you and be a resource for you here on the Treasure Coast.